Australians march for freedom. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of Realpolitik. Grab your stein of coffee and, well, I want to talk about the freedom marches that have been occurring around Australia. And let's just jump and have a look at some of the photos here. We can see, there you go, guys. Have a look. Large crowds, tens to hundreds of thousands of people, frustrated with the new legislation that's being put forward in Victoria, venting anger at everyone's favourite politician, Daniel Andrews, but quite a mishmash of people, from all walks of life. Many people protesting for the first time ever in their lives. And generally, huge crowds, but peaceful. My understanding was there were no arrests. Just think about that. So the rubber bullets haven't been deployed. How is the media reporting on this? How's the media? Let's have a look here. We go to Melbourne. This is what I typed into Google, Melbourne protests. And we had over 14.4 million results. So, but notice this, how they're talking about anti-vaccine protesters. I'm sure there'll be some people that are adamantly against vaccination jumping on board to the protests. But my understanding is many of them are frustrated simply at the mandates, that they no longer have the freedom of choice, or that there's going to be segregated access to services in Australia. Now, maybe I'm just too stoic, but this doesn't surprise me. Not really. We already have had these type of requirements in place to work in many businesses in Australia for some time. Now, what's happening is other people are having to put up with some of the requirements that certain parts of our population have been expected to put up with. It's becoming more widespread. That we didn't have these protests years ago, did we? No one was complaining when family tax benefit is reduced because people don't get vaccinated, even if they conscientiously object. Welfare is being stripped from them. And this has been accepted in Australia for some time. Australia we're not America, guys, and we're not as libertarian as Americans. We don't have as much of a liberty focus. So while this is encouraging to see, I'm happy to see this. Large groups of people expressing their political opinion, getting active, probably for the first time. I'm hoping this will continue, and it will manifest in the voting booths. I'd love to see some minority party people in the actual House of Reps, not just the Greens. Wouldn't that be good? Mix it up a bit. But don't be disappointed if the claims of Daniel Andrews still having 60% approval ratings are proven correct. Because while there's lots of people here, there's lots of people in Victoria, guys. We're very big civilizations now. This is why our politicians and our leader class are so far removed from the struggles of the average proletariat these days. So let's continue to see how it was reported by Melbourne. Freedom Rally fills Melbourne streets, again, to protest vaccine mandates. As it happens, from the Sydney Morning Herald, demonstrations take place across Sydney, Melbourne, New South Wales and Victoria. 9 News. Anti-vax protesters. Notice how the different outlets portrayed in a different way. Take to the streets for yet another week. Large crowds have packed Melbourne CBD. I think there was footage as well a few days ago of the police playing cricket with protesters at the front of Parliament House. From the Herald Sun in Melbourne, guys. Peaceful freedom protest as 20,000 march in the CBD. And here, 20,000 freedom protesters marched through Melbourne CBD on Saturday. March against mandatory vaccination and passports in Melbourne. From The Age. 7 News. Thousands gather in Melbourne, Sydney and across Australia in orchestrated protest against COVID. I'm assuming it's mandatory vaccinations. Sky News. At least 20,000 Melbourne protesters rally over mandatory vaccines and passports. ABC. Crowd sizes are difficult to estimate. Well, that's a good indicator of how popular it is and how many people are concerned. Did we even have protests this big when it came to the whole same-sex marriage debate that we had in Australia? I don't think we did. Did we even have protests this big back during the Iraq War? that was probably the last time I was involved in any political protest, guys, other than recent ones. I'm showing my age. So, but it's unlikely Melbourne's recent COVID rally was the largest in history. Largest political rally ever. It probably feels like it to a lot of people attending. And for a country which is very apathetic, for a generation that many people don't care about politics, they consider it someone else's problem, these are fantastic numbers. And how's Sydney being reported? So blast them out. Craig Kelly speaks at Sydney protests as thousands rally. From the Sydney Morning Herald. Demonstrations take place. Yep, ABC, thousands march in Melbourne on another weekend. I wrote this here for Sydney, yeah. Sydney. Demonstrations take place in Sydney. Thousands gather, yeah, the same thing. Huge crowds hit streets for anti-vax protests for news.com.au. Huge crowd protest vaccine mandates in Sydney. Huge crowds descend on Melbourne, yeah, same thing. Same thing. So, I mean, let's have a bit of a talk about this one, guys. Let's have a chat. Now, here's the thing. People are going to be riled up. They're going to be happy. They're going to be engaged. They're going to think that, it's all changed. They've got the power behind them. And UAP will storm the Parliament House and take control of the government, or One Nation or the LDP. I would be shocked in seeing that happen. You're getting mixed messages from different groups of people. Some who are waiting on a different vaccine, I've heard, are just going to, and their workplaces are mandating that everyone is vaccinated by a certain period, are just taking the time off. Some people are taking early retirement, using this as an excuse to get out of work. But not everyone is in that situation. And here's the question, guys. Do we want to expand the existing vaccination requirements we already have in aged care and healthcare to other parts of the community? Is it fair and reasonable to expect one group of employees to wear that burden and others not to? I mean, let's just forget about the private sector. Why are the teachers not required to be vaccinated like those working in hospitals? I mean, this is the thing, everyone. This is where Australia is. And we'll need a cultural shift to make it happen. This is a good step. People are becoming politically activated and people are taking interest. And that's really encouraging. But what you don't want to see is them losing hope if something doesn't materialize. If, at very least, some of these minor parties can get some people in the House of Reps so they can actually perhaps force a minor coalition with one of the bigger parties, or at least have a voice there on the stage to air some of the concerns for a significant portion of our population, that would be fantastic. And that's what we need. But remember, guys, we're in a democracy. So it's always going to be mob rule, isn't it? And it looks like the mob, the majority of them, just want things to get back to normal and are willing to make some compromises. What do you reckon? Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And I want to point you to this last video I did on my main channel about, a toilet in a shower for $469,000. Something a little bit more fun. Take care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.